Let's see a little bit more on this orange and grape study. I am going to come back in on the oranges study with a final, even more of a orangey red. I do have some notes up here, but I don't know that those are technically accurate or if you can even see them. But I am going to be including that information written down so it's easy to have. I changed brushes one more time just to make things really confusing. Not really. But this is a number 10 of the brush that we're using mostly in class, black velvet. Really nice brush for especially for the price point. It's a really nice brush regardless, actually. Yeah, I'm looking at the oranges and it still always fascinates me how this seemed very dark when I put it on and very orangey, and after it dried and after I put that next to it changes. I think I dried the final grape study enough here. So for this last little lower corner, I'm pretty much just using a strong mix of ultramarine blue. When you start getting stronger, more concentrated mixes of paint, they're not going to flow down the paper and out of your brush as much as a watery mix will. So it's even more important to use a really light touch. Pop in, drop in a little bit more color. So that's that. Applying that, I'm going to set that over here. So a couple things about the actual painting. One thing I want to point out is that there is this trapped space of the background between the banana stems, stalks. That's always often a little bit confusing to folks, and we can talk about that too. There is a second tiny orange way back in the bowl, so sometimes that gets lost back there, but it's a fun little thing that in my mind just keeps adding a little bit of depth. So I'm gonna sort of do that second step really for the oranges, which is a little bit, instead of just a light azo yellow, it's a little bit more concentrated, a little bit darker orangey yellow. I want to start, I don't want to paint that color over the whole thing. I do want to start over on this side where the light source is with basically clear water, because I don't want it to get darker over there, but I do want the color to blend evenly and gradually. So then I'm going to pick up a little bit of the second color here, orangey yellow. And then complete this shape. Now this is not a lot darker. I could decide that it's perfectly fine to go a little bit darker, and in fact I think I will. But I am going to go back and get this smaller brush. I could be using, and actually I probably should be using, now that I think about it, my number 4 round synthetic for a couple of reasons. For one, it's on the supply list, so you guys should have it. And this is not, so you probably don't. But also when I'm trying to clean up, oh, I hope that was in frame. When I'm trying to clean up the edge, I'm kind of agitating the overlap of the apple shape. That was pretty orangey, wasn't it? And that still is. Occurs to me, I may have inadvertently left some purplish color in that brush, so if it starts looking brownish, that would explain why. But yeah, trying to pretty much just treat it like the study, only with gradual gradations instead of straight lines, which is not an easy thing. But the more you understand where you're going, the more of a sporting chance you'll have. Let me try a grape. Although this, once again, this brush might be a touch too big, but I'm going to try it anyway since I'm right here and I don't see the other brush. Let's try this one. So I had that first layer of sort of light color. I'm going to basically paint a circular motion, sort of a circular shape, and then with clear water I'm going to try to blend that out a little bit. Trying to gradate from a light quin rose to a little darker quin rose. And this is when brush size can really become helpful, because this probably introducing a bit too much color. But I'm going with it anyways. We are going to be talking about using that filbert brush for some scrubbing, some lifting out of color. which is going to come in handy. So that's the kind of thing I'm trying to do with the grapes. I'm going to try it a different way. I'm going to try it with first just water. Let's see, I want to make sure that it's not touching either one of the adjacent grapes or anything else that's wet, in this case the orange. So I could also, to have a little bit more control of where the pigment flows and where it doesn't flow, wet down a shape, which is clear water. Important to not let it be too much water. After I've wet down the whole shape, try to soak up a little bit so it's not crazy wet. And then go to a little bit of my color, quinacridone rose. And make it a little bit darker and redder, thusly. Let's see, that was so fun. I'll try another one. I could be doing a little bit more overlapping and not worrying so much about painting each individual grape. And in fact, that can make things look much more unified ultimately. But that's another subject I'll discuss at some point, probably. This is fun watercolor wet into wet. It's small shapes, and so it can be tricky to have the right amount of water and pigment for how you want it to flow. But basically, I'm trying to treat each of these as, you know, its own spherical shape with the light source coming in. Basically, where we see the highlight, and then getting a little bit darker and less saturated and more blue-violet as we go away from the light. Let's see. The other thing I'll mention is that I did a first light layer for the bananas. And I'll be doing a video study for that, as well as every other thing here too. So each shape, each sort of different color combination, color mixing will have its own little study. That's it for now.